Bisexuals who have dated both men and women, what are some differences you've noticed? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will stop the video here. Women are softer, physically, not just with regards to, boobs and stuff, but also just their skin in general. All that moisturizing pays off. All you want to do is touch them. I once dated a guy who naturally had absurdly soft skin, and it was weird, but extremely pleasant. I've heard that women have a thin layer of fat very evenly distributed under the skin, and that is why they feel so soft and wonderful. Women's kisses are completely different to men's. Sex with women seems less climax oriented. The girls I've dated have actually been significantly quicker to tell me when something's wrong. The guys I've dated bottled it in sometimes for a month before I even knew anything was up. Sadly, that's a common trait among men in a society that tells us showing any emotion is a sign of weakness. I do try my level best to always speak to anyone who cares about me who will lend an ear about things that are bothering me mentally, but I still find myself sometimes insecure about letting it be heard and wondering what the consequences of me getting my feelings out will end up being. It's a fricked up almost self-reverse psychology in a way, and it's really hard to break that conditioning. I find, only in my personal non-objective opinion, that women deal with this in similar fashion. However, it's more often with the standards society hold them to on their physical appearance and personality rather than their emotional well-being. Not completely relevant, but I just overheard this on the bus. Daughter, maybe 6. Daddy, do you cry? You're a guy. Dad, if I'm upset I'll cry. It doesn't matter if I'm a guy or not. Everybody cries. Daughter, I've never seen you cry. Dad, when you were younger we went to my brother's funeral. I couldn't stop crying. I can't use the phrase scissor me timbers in bed with a guy. Maybe they could do the spark thing with their hands? Live long and scissor? As a bisexual female this is what I've noticed. Dating a lesbian. The lesbian I was dating at the time pretty much wanted me to forget. I also liked men and wanted me to be 100% into women all the time. It was unrealistic to say the least. I couldn't comment on actors or men in public, yet if I said anything about another female it was all good. Dating a bisexual woman. Pretty standard relationship, was fun to talk about people we found attractive etc. Very experimental in the bedroom. Dating a straight man. Asked for threesomes a lot, but when I actually went to plan it, backed out. Not all that experimental in the room. Got super turned on by the idea of me with another woman and super jealous at the thought of another dude. Dating a bisexual man. Pretty close to dating the bisexual woman. Just now the peanuts isn't made from silicone and there's no boobs, sad face. Something I learned overall. Every relationship people think, because you play for both teams you are more likely to leave, because you have double the options. I was wondering why you didn't finish it off with dating a gay man for way too long. I'm gay was still waiting for that and was confused. It's a lot less embarrassing getting caught on the red when you're staying over at a girl's place early on in the relationship than when you're staying with a guy. Oh, right. Is that normal as opposed to top drawer in the bathroom? Take your pick. Do you need a change of pants too? I pretty much round up to being gay now, but I've dated several women in my time. Beyond the genital thing, which never mattered much to me anyway, I think the biggest difference I noticed was how much thought women put into interpersonal relationships. At its best, my ex-girlfriends would be able to clearly and articulately express their feelings in a way that I, emotionally stunted man that I am, cannot. At other times I would feel bewildered as they found hidden meanings in things I said or did that I never intended. In my experience, men are more inclined to take what you say and do at face value and not think too deeply about other people's motivations or thoughts. Round up. Man who has dated men and women, currently dating a man. Anecdotally, with the men I've dated, things are always surface deep. When what do you wanna do for dinner? Get an I don't care. It means just that, as opposed to the girls I've dated that get pissed when you respond with alright, we'll just do leftovers then. Also, disposition. The women I've dated will agree to going places or doing things even if they really don't like it. One girl I dated hated hummus, but would try some anyway when I would snack on it. With dudes I've dated it'd be a straight up nah. Men dating bisexual women are a lot more likely to ask for a threesome. Men dating bisexual women who ask for a threesome repeatedly despite not being able to read the freaking room. David, don't date bisexual women for very long. A lot of men ask me for threesomes when they hear that I'm bi. I always agree on the condition that I'm the only woman in the threesome. Then that question never gets asked again. 90% of the time at least anyway. My husband, boyfriend at the time, asked this. When I gave him that exact response, he was thrilled. Frick yeah, I didn't even think you'd go for that. Tell us more. I mean, I played it off as a bluff. I had before. Quite a bit in fact, though he didn't know that. But I wasn't into the idea of doing it within a relationship. Sharing when you're with someone feels very different. Much more transgressive in my opinion. As a guy who likes to believe he's bi, but has never been with a woman before, this thread is fascinating. I only wish I could find a woman to experiment with. Wish I could find a woman to experiment with. Sigh. Me too, man. I haven't touched a girl's hand since 1592. When you're in a same-sex relationship, make absolutely sure you're on the same page about sexuality and identity politics. I'm not sure how is for men, but as a bisexual woman who dated a lesbian for 2 years, she made my life a living hell by expecting me to renounce my man-loving ways and fully conform to being a lesbian. At least the man I dated before then wasn't a full-on psychopath, just an idiot. When I was younger, 17-20, I found boys awkward to date because they had these gender role expectations and assumptions that I found really uncomfortable. Like they had a girlfriend slot and, because I happened to be female and close enough to willing, they tried to shove me into it. I didn't feel like they saw me as a person. Women felt much more natural to date for that reason, because we were treating each other like equals. However, in my late 20s, now, in part, because I'm dating more mature people, I'm more mature myself, and I'm more selective, I find it's pretty surprising how not at all different it is dating men and women. Some people are upfront communicators. Some people say fine and don't mean it, regardless of gender. People have hang-ups and expectations and assumptions and sore spots and baggage in pretty damn similar ways, regardless of gender. There's more variability between individuals than between the sexes. I will say men tend to have a lot more sensitive baggage around their masculinity in their sexual performance, and women tend to be shooty at initiating dating, shreks and more flaky and unenthusiastic in the courtship phase, also known as lesbian sheep syndrome. On another thread earlier this week, I asked a bisexual woman what it was like dating women online. She enlightened me that there's a lot of swiping right and shyly indicating an interest, but expecting the other person to make the first move. Since both people have that expectation, it's extremely difficult to even get a real date. That seems to corroborate with your comment. It was interesting to me how much traditional gender roles factored in, women expecting to be asked versus doing the asking, for women who date women. I, inaccurately, assumed that when it comes to same-sex dating, you can easily throw off those shackles and just be yourself, but I suppose it's not that easy. In this thread, bisexual women. Hello, I'm a bisexual man. The biggest difference I've noticed is how forward you can be with shreks right from the get-go. Dating and shreks with a woman is a freaking dance. Testing the waters to see how far you're allowed to go. Dating and shreks with a man is usually do you have a clock? Alright, let's get that shootin' me ASAP homie. I think it comes from a difference in how homosexual relationships are founded. Since straight is the default, you have to know what to say and when to say it, and there are all sorts of sexual and cultural hang-ups to deal with. And even then, there's always the question of, am I actually attracted to this woman sexually or are we really good friends? Dating a man is based mostly on a known sexual desire, and that difference in baseline really changes the dynamic of the relationship. Being a moderately attractive gay man, the scale is definitely different. I'm maybe a 6 or 7 to women, but in the general gay community I feel like an 8 or 9. Women in general have a very strong advantage in the dating game versus men. Attractive gay men have a very strong advantage in the same way. Genitals. Scribbles in notepad. Of course. How could we have been so stupid? Erases middle of chalkboard full of equations and circles the word genitals. I am a woman who has dated both men and women. Currently dating a woman. Dated more men in the past, but this probably has more to do with the numbers. There will always be more straight men than women who date women. Relationships are surprisingly similar. There is a need for communication and emotional and physical intimacy whether or not the partner is male or female. Differences. Women are so soft. And they kiss soft too. Men feel rougher and harder. I have seen other replies in this thread stating women are more emotional. I disagree with this. Men just show their emotions differently. Plus I found it necessary to cater more to men's egos. The Shreks. Depending on the partner's Shrek style they can be very different or very similar. But in general Shreks with women is more varied, tends to last longer and everyone orgasms 5-10 times. Shreks with men tends to be more peanuts focused. However both men and women can be selfish or giving lovers. But by far the biggest difference was expectations for gender roles in the relationship. Pretty much all men I dated expected I carry the burden of the emotional work of the relationship and, if living with them, the housework. It is really not attractive when your boyfriend just expects you to be responsible for his laundry and remember birthdays, pick up cards, make the shopping list, tell him what chores to help with, as if I turned into their secretary or mom. And the thing was they weren't even conscious of it. With the women I have dated it has been far more equal with actual discussions about these things. I mean all couples argue about chores, but it's nice when the default expectation that I'm responsible for it isn't there. Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will stop the video here.